Hey guys, and welcome on my first video on YouTube. In today's video I'm gonna be doing a Python tutorial series. So this is the first episode in this series, kind of an introduction showing you how to download Python, install it, and then going into data types and variables. So don't worry if you have never programmed before, because I'm gonna be going over everything slowly and in depth so that you can understand. I recommend that you follow along with everything I'm doing in the tutorial. Pause the video at certain points, rewind if you didn't understand, because it's important you understand this part so that we can move forward to more complex ideas. So obviously the first thing we're gonna do to use Python is to download it. So for that we're just going to go to the Python official website, python.org/downloads. And just click on download Python 3.8.5 or the latest version. So don't forget to download the version suitable with your OS. In my case it's Windows. I'm not going to do that because I have already Python installed in my computer. So once you have done that, it will pop up a message here that it is downloading. After it ends of downloading, you're going to notice an application that looks like this. Its name is ideally Python 3.6 or the version that you downloaded. Don't worry if you have a version greater than 3.6, because almost all of the features that we're gonna discuss are available also on your version. Right, so the first thing that you will notice when running the application is that Python shell here with your Python version in the beginning. So you can run your Python code here, like if we write print a name, like for example my name, this will pop up here an output which is my name. Alright, but we're not going to use that to run our Python code. We're just going to go to file, new file, or Ctrl+N, and then write our code instead here. Okay, here let's take the same example, print Taha, and then save the file with Ctrl+S, and I'm going to save it in the desktop and name it tutorial. Right, don't forget that the Python extension is .py. Right, let's close this and this also. To run our Python code stored in or saved in a Python file, we just go to cmd, just type cmd or command line or terminal, it depends on your operating system, then click. So I'm just going to go to my desktop, cd desktop, and then you're just going to type Python or Python 3, I believe in some operating systems, I believe it's in Linux and Mac, and then followed by the file name, in our case tutorial.py. don't forget the .py, it's very important. And here's the output here, Taha, the same output even if we were in different places. And now we're ready to learn a little bit about data types. So pretty much Python is a fairly basic language in comparison to a lot of other ones. A lot of things that does is more simple than other languages, but it's important to understand the basic data types. So there's 4 main data types in Python. There's a few more, but we're just going to talk about these ones right now. The first one is an integer. So that can be a short form int that stands for integer. Now an integer is any number, so such as 1, 3, 27, any whole number. It could be a negative number as well, like a -5 or 0, those are all integers. Okay, now we have strings. The short form of string is str. Now pretty much a string is anything embedded in quotations. So like this is my name Taha, that is a string. And then we also have something like this. This could be a string. And even that, like this, that would be a string. Although there's a number in here, since it is between these two quotations here, it is a string. So even if I did another number like that, string. Now it's also important to understand that it doesn't matter if you use the double quotations or the single quotations. Sometimes we use the double quotations because inside of our string we want to use single quotations or the opposite, like that. Okay, so these are just a few examples. Now we have Boolean data types. So booleans are something that evaluates either to true or false. Pretty basic. These are reserved words in Python, meaning that they are in orange and that you cannot use them for variable names. That's gonna be important later on. Just know that they are important words, true or false. And they start with capitals. So for example, if we write true like this, it's not highlighted orange, right? So that's because true in Python, the keyword for that starts with a capital. So true and false. Then we have the decimals, which is a flow data type like this. So anything with a decimal flowing points, so 4.54 or 27.3, anything like that, any decimal number with a flowing decimal point would be a float. Okay, so those are the four basic data types. There's a few more that we will go on later on, but you just have to understand these ones right now. So now that we know these data types, I will give a quick quiz here. So I'm going to put a few things right here, and then I want you to pause the video and go ahead and try to determine what type of data type these things are. So I will go over the answers in a second. Okay, so we'll start with the first one here. Hello, it's the same example that I have up here except in single quotations. So we can see that it is a string data type. And we have the number 123. That would be the integer data type. We have another number here that has a decimal point. So 3.22. That would be a float. We have the keyword true. This data type is a boolean data type. Then we have two in quotations. This is very important. We don't want to get this mixed up. This is a string. Some people may think that it's an integer because it's two, but no, it actually is a string because it is inside the quotations. And then same thing here, 3 inside of the double quotations. Again is a string, a non-integer. Now that we have an idea of the basic data types, I'm gonna show you how to create a variable. So pretty much you may have heard of variables before in math or something like that. In math we tend to use x as a variable. We say x may be 7 or 5, anything like that. It's the same thing in Python. Now declaring a variable in Python is very easy. All you have to do is type the variable name. So in this case I'm gonna use name and then simply give it a value. So this value, as you may remember, is a string. This is my name and I'm storing it in the variable name. Now if I want to access this variable, I want to see what that variable is. I can print it to the console by simply typing the variable name, which is name. So now we will see what happens if I run the program. So I forgot to tell this to you, but to run our program stored in a file, we can just go to run module or simply just click F5. I'm going to use F5 from now on. Right, that's the thing, and you can see it prints out Taha. Okay, now say we did that, we have name equals Taha, or printed it to the console. Now maybe we want to change that variable. Well, it's very easy again. All we have to do is just type the value. And now maybe we're gonna change it to John. And now we want to see what the new variable is. So we will print it to the console, or print name. Click F5 to run that. So as you can see here, Taha and then John. So like we have here, name equals Taha, print name, name equals John, print name, right? So you say it like that. Okay, so that's pretty basic. Now you can create variables of different data types. So for example, if we had a variable here, I would use an integer data type. So like 2020 for that variable, and then again if I wanted to print to the screen, I would say print and then the variable name, like that. Let's run this. Okay, 2020, perfect. Right, so we print that to the screen. Okay, so there's a few restrictions on variable names. So here you just see I've used lowercase letters. Your variable names can contain underscores and they cannot contain dashes. They can only contain underscores, text, and they cannot start with a number, I believe. So if I try to do one name equals two, for example, I ran into an invalid syntax, as you can see, because we can't name a variable starting with a number. Now I can end it with a number or inside it, no problem. And another note is we cannot use reserved words in Python for naming variables. Here's a full list of reserved words in Python. I could do name underscore person, but I can't put something like a star in my variable name. You see how we have got an invalid syntax there, right? This is because these symbols represent something else in Python language. So just know, for names, we can use capital letters as well, as if we would like, I could use name like that, but I cannot start it with numbers as I have already said, and it cannot contain anything other than underscores, texts, and numbers in or at the end of the variable name. Now here's a quick and quiz for you. If I make a variable called name like that, and do another variable called name with the lowercase letters, are they the same thing? Now that's a good question. Are these two the same thing? No, they are not the same thing. So capitals don't matter in Python. The all capitals variable name is different than the variable name. That is because Python variable names are case sensitive. So again, name, this is different than all of those variables. Okay, so I think I've covered a little bit on variables and data types. So today was just for the complete basics. Just wanna get everyone caught up. In the next video, we will go into some more advanced stuff. Maybe operations of variables, adding them together, subtracting, multiplying, boolean conditions like that. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the video today. Stay tuned, we're gonna have another video soon. Like the video if it was good, subscribe, and thank you for watching. Hey guys, so welcome to the second video in the series. So before starting, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and activate the notifications bell. So now if you remember, in the last video we talked about data types and variables. So today we want to dive briefly into some of the things that Python can do. Today I'm gonna be talking about operators, and we're going to be doing some print statements and some inputs a little bit. A few small console applications. I'm just applying some of the knowledge that we've learned. So let's get started. So pretty much the first thing I want to do is I want to go back and view what we did in the last lesson very quickly. So we talked about variables and data types. So for example, will be x variable. We could set it to something like equal to 2 or 5. A name we made equal to our name, right? So I make that equal to Taha. So there we go. We have the name right here equal to Taha. Now, if you remember the last one, I didn't talk about this, but I used something called print. Now, the print statement pretty much takes an argument, so inside this brackets, the thing that is inside that brackets is called the arguments. So it takes a string argument usually, so I will give it the name. So now you will see again, we did this in the last video. I just wanna do a review. Now I'm clicking F5 simply to run the program. When I go to the console, it simply puts Taha onto the console. Right, okay, very basic, we've already done that. So now let's say, well, we want to do something else. So let's print here, and we're just going to put a string, and we're just going to type this in ourselves. Let's say hello, comma, what is your name? That's going to print to the console. Now we want to get what the user's name is. Now there's a way to do this in Python. It's very simple. We're going to make a variable name. It makes sense to put the variable name here, do an equal sign because it's a variable, right? We're going to type the word input just like this. Now what's going to happen if I run the program here? Right, I'm gonna show you. It's going to say hello, what is your name? And this can actually allow me now to type into the console, which I couldn't do before. Now nothing happens after when I click enter because we don't have anything else after that, but it's allowing me to type. Okay, so now, well, we want to print out what the name is. So let's just simply type print and then name, right? And we have hello, what is your name? I say, oh, well, my name is Taha, and then it says Taha. Right, now, well, we just printed out the name, but maybe we wanna go a little bit more advanced than that. We wanna say, well, hello, Taha, how are you? How are you doing, Taha? Something like that. Right, so I'm going to just put a comma here to separate these two things, and I'm going to put in a string. I'm just going to type it like this. Let me say hello with a comma. And then you see that I have this other comma here that is outside of the quotations, meaning it's not a string. It's actually just separating the two arguments in here. And you will notice what happens now. So when it prints hello, what's your name? I say, oh, my name is Taha. It says hello, comma Taha. Right, so this is pretty straightforward. I hope that's easy to understand. We're just using the input to get an input, and then we're printing it back to the screen. Okay, so let's go into the next part of the video. Now, we'll use input again later, but let's talk about operators. So operators, that term may sound familiar to you. In math, we use things called operators. So these four offers here hopefully should look familiar to you. This is a plus sign. This is the addition operator. We have the minus sign, which is the subtraction operator, the division sign, which is the, well, division operator, and then the multiplication sign, which is again the multiplication operator. So there's a few more operators I will talk about, but these are the four basic ones in Python. Now, you remember how I talked to you about data types? This is where this comes in. When we use these operators, it's important that we use them on certain data types. So for example, in math, I could do something like 3 plus 4, which are, both of them are integers, right? So what is 3 plus 4 equal? Well, that is equal to 7. So the computer can actually do that math operation by using that operator to return this value. So let's give an example here quickly. So let's do num1. We're going to use variables here. Remember, I can use a number in the variable name as long as it's not at the beginning. And I'm going to give it a value of 45. And then we will do num2 and we're going to give it a value of 3. Now, if I want to print to the console, let's say num1 plus num2, well, you can guess what that's going to give us. It's going to give us 45 plus 3. I hope this is not difficult for you. So that gave us 48, right? So num1 plus num2 is 48, right? So now what about minus? Let's try this. And then 42, basic. We can do multiplication here with the multiplication sign. There you go, 135. And then we will try again with the division sign just to show you all of them. We get 15.0 like that. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward on those four basic operators. Now, in Python, there's a few more operators that we want to talk about now. For example, in math, we have something called exponents. Right, so how do we do exponents in Python? Well, it's two stars or two asterisks is how you do an exponent. Alright, and now maybe there's something called integer division, which I will get into later, but I'll just show you the operator for it. Right, it's two slashes. I will give you a math example. Here we have 64 divided by, let's do 10, would give us usually in math a value of 6.4. Right, that's if you use one division sign of 6.4, but now if we do two division size, here like this, it actually gives us a value of 6. That's because it doesn't worry about the remainder at all. It just tells us how many times 10 can go into 64, and that's always can go in 6 times evenly. So it gives us a whole number as our answer. That's called integer division. This double slash is like this. And then we have another operator, which is actually the modulus operator. So this is the percentage sign, and this gives us the remainder. So here if I do 5 modulus 2, then the remainder of that is actually 1, because 5 divided by 2 is 4, then with a remainder of 1. So it's not going to give us the decimal points, it's again just going to give us the remainder. If I did 5 divided by 4, again the remainder is 1. 5 divided by 3, the remainder will be 2, and like that. Okay, so that's what the modulus sign gives us. So now, same thing, let's keep using our number of variables here, and now let's introduce a third variable called num3. Now, I want to show you how we can use the variables. So, num1, and let's see if you remember what this operator is. So that's the exponent operator. So that means num1, which is going to be our base, which is 45, raise it to the power of 4, because we're going to use num2. And we can print num3, press F5, and you can see we get a pretty large number. That's because of how exponents work. And then same thing here, if we want to do maybe integer division, see what we're gonna get. So we had 11 printed, a whole number. And then say we do modulus, and we get 1. Okay. Okay guys, so now let's try to mix all what we learned until now together. Operators, variables, data types, and other stuff that we learned. So let's start by printing a string, right? We're gonna type it by ourselves. Let's say pick a number, yeah, like that, and then we're just going to do an input to input the picked number. So obviously we're gonna store it in a variable. We're just going to name it num1, right? And we're just going to type the keyword inputs. So we're not going to deal just with one number, right? So we're going to add another print statement, and you remember that is a string, yeah, embedded in this quotations. And we're gonna say pick another number, and same thing, we're gonna store the inputs value in a variable, sorry. Right, so what we're gonna do is just return the sum of these two numbers and print it out to the console again. So we're just going to do sum. So guys, obviously the keyword sum is a reserved word in Python because it's highlighted in purple, as you can see, right? But we're just going to use sum with capital letters. Sorry. As you can remember, the full capital letters variable name is different than the lowercase letters variable name. And we're just going to put in it num1 plus num2 and then print it to the console again. Right, so there's a mistake in this Python code, but if you realize it, just tell it to me in the comments below and be honest. So if you didn't, we're gonna check it, all of us, by running the program. Yeah, I'm just going to type pin F5. Right, so we have pick a number. Let's pick 1 and then 2. So we got 12. As you know, 1 plus 2 is actually 3. Yeah, that's pretty basic, but we got 12, right? So that's why we focused on data type. So here, operations may vary from data type to another. So for strings, when we add a string to another, it just prints the first one with the next with the other one. So now if you see here, the inputs values are always strings. So if we can see here, and the num1 is actually a string because it has the value inputs. So to fix that, we're just going to add the keyword int, as you may remember, because the keyword int is just going to convert our string, or yeah, is just going to convert our string data type to integer data type. And same thing here. Save the file and then run again, and we have pick a number 1 and then 2, and here we are 3. So guys, I hope you followed along with me, and then in the next lesson we're gonna move into some of more advanced operators. We'll maybe start with conditions. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe, like the video, and I'll see you in the next video. Hey guys, and welcome to the third video in our Python programming tutorial series. So in today's video we're gonna be talking about something called conditions. So I hope you remember what we talked about in other videos, such as data types, variables, inputs, printing, and operators such as plus, minus, division operator, integer division, multiplying operator, and modulus, and much more. So in today's video we're gonna be talking about some advanced operators and then getting into conditions. So let's get started. Here in my file right here, I've put down 4 basic comparison operators. So pretty much comparison is something that's going to return a value of true or false. So here we have, let's take a real world example. Is the string Taha equal to John? Well, no, they're not, because Taha obviously is spelled differently than John. So that's going to be given us a value of false. And same thing if we want to go into numbers. We say, is 18 greater than 2? Is it true? Yes, it is. So that condition gives us a value of true. It's a very simple concept, but it's something that we have to understand as we go into decisions later on, which will be in the next video. Okay, so this comparison operators, I read them off and just kind of given a definition of each of them. So the first one is less than or greater than sign. Same thing with the second one, right? So it's just going to compare if something is less than, greater than. Usually these are used for integer values, that data type. We also can use them for strings, but it's a little bit more complex and I'm not gonna be talking about it right now. Maybe in a more advanced tutorial later on. Now the equivalent operator. So the equal sign here. Now a lot of people think, well, if I'm comparing something, why would I just use one equal sign like this? Well, that's a very good question. A lot of people get mixed up on this. It is actually two equal signs. That because in Python, the one equal sign is a declaration operator. So for example, if I put a variable x and I want to set it to 4, for example, right? This is what we do with the one equal sign. We're setting values, right? So when we did name is equal to Taha, things like that, we're using one equal sign. Now, if we're going to check something, we're going to compare them, we have to use the two equal signs, because two equal signs and one equal sign have a very different meaning. So it's important to keep that in mind, that the comparison operator for equivalency is two equal signs. Okay, so the next one is not equal to. So we have an exclamation mark and then we have the equal sign like this. Okay, so an example of not equal to, because some people may get confused here. So here are 4 not equal to 5. Okay, so what do you think this will give us? Just think about it for a second. Well, what it's actually going to return to us is true, because the condition is if 4 is not equal to 5, and here we can see obviously 4 is not equal to 5. So now again, if I give another example, we put 5 here, we say 5 not equal to 5, that will return a value of false, because 5 is indeed equal to 5. Now we can do the same thing with strings. So for example, we have hello, there we go, and Taha. Now you can probably guess by yourself that this is going to return true, because Taha is indeed not equal to hello. Okay, it's pretty straightforward, but a lot of people may get mixed up with the not equal to. If it's returning true or false, okay, so those are the 4 basic comparison operators that we're going to use. So we have equal to, not equal to, and greater than and less than. So greater than or less than, again we use 4 numbers, so 1 less than 2, again that's going to return true, like that. Okay, so now we're gonna start printing something to the console and maybe doing a little bit of a quiz here, just to see how you guys are going to do. So a boolean condition, we're gonna print to the console 2 less than 3. Okay, now you guys guess and tell me what you think is going to be returned to the console. It's either going to be true or false. I'll give you a hint, right? Now it gives us a value of true. That's because this condition 2 is less than 3 is true. Switch the sign and we make it greater than, like that. Well, you can guess what's going to come up. So we click F5 and we get false. That's because this condition returns a value of false. Okay, now we will do another condition, right? Hello equal to word. Okay, and guess yourself what this one's going to return. False. Okay, that's because they're spelled differently. Now we're gonna do the not equal sign just to show that one as well. So hello not equal to word, and we will see that gives us true because they are not the same. I'm fairly straightforward, but a lot of people do get these things mixed up. Now I'll show you what happens when I try just to do one equal sign like this. See, we get keyword can be an expression. That's because we're trying to declare a variable here, but we cannot do that. Okay, because we're just using one equal sign. Here we need to use two. Alright, okay, so now let's try another example, maybe a more advanced one. This is a little bit of a trick. Okay, I want to see if you guys remember from my last tutorial what I talked about. So take a guess right now what you think is going to be returned. You think it's gonna be true or it's gonna be false? Well, it was false. Okay, that's because again, what we talked about in Python, capitals matter, right? So any capital letter is different than a lowercase letter. So something like this, yeah, it's going to return false, right? It's important to understand. Okay, so we've very briefly gone into conditions. Now I'm gonna write a few on the side here. You guys can go ahead and pause the video and put them in print statements and test yourself and see if you get them right or not. Okay, I'm gonna add a few tricks from the other lessons try to kind of apply some of our knowledge and see if you can get them correct. Okay, so just give me a minute here. Write a few out and then we'll go through the answers afterwards. Okay, so we'll just do this one for now, and we will do a few other examples. Okay, so these are a lot more advanced than what I was talking about before, but they are conditions. We have a left side of the condition and we have the right side of the condition. So I hope you've taken a guess now of what you think these are going to print, because I'm gonna print out the answers right now. Okay, I click F5. So we have true, false, and false. All right, so for the first one, two less than 3, that's an example I already gave that gives us a value of true because the back condition is true. Now we have 2 minus 3 plus 4 greater than 5. You can do the math there and see that that is going to be false. And then this one, some people may get a little bit confused on, because I actually use the word false and true in my condition. That's going to return false or true. So I've print false equals true. Well, is false the same thing as true? No, it's not. So obviously we are going to be returned with the value false. Okay, so we have talked a little bit about conditions. Now in the next tutorial we're gonna be doing something called decision. So stay tuned for that. The next step should be, I think, the next week. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Go ahead, like and subscribe and share with your friends. Thanks. Hi guys, and welcome back to the fourth video in our Python programming tutorial series. So today's video we're gonna be talking about decisions. So we're gonna be using if, elif, and else statements in Python. So before starting, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and activate the notifications bell. So let's get started. So pretty much I will give you a light example on what these are. So we can do something like this. If condition equals true, then do this. Okay, so pretty much the syntax for the basic if statement, which is what we are going to cover first. So if you remember my last tutorial, I talked about conditions. If you haven't seen that, go back and look at that first, because that's going to be an important part of today's lesson. You have to understand that. So if condition is true, then we're going to do this. Now, let's just dive into the syntax a little bit here. So you're going to start with the keyword if. Then we're going to put a condition. So the condition could be something like this. If 1 is less than 2, if Taha is equal to hello, something like that. Okay, so anything that can return a true or false value. You can use even variable names. You can say if x is equal to y, anything like that is a condition. And it uses a conditional operator like I talked about in the last video. And then you are going to end your condition with a colon like this, and then you're going to simply click enter and it should tab you in one line. Now it's very important that you have the indentation. If you have your code like this, it's not gonna work, because Python reads the lines because of indentation. So it's very important that you have whatever statements you want to run after the condition returns true indented properly, and this will also be very important as we move further on in different tutorials, and we have lots of different indentation levels within the program. Okay, so let's do a real example. Now instead of this kind of pseudocode here, so we will start off by just getting some input from the user. So let's get their age. Okay, so age is equal to input like this, and then just if you put something inside of the input like this, it actually gives us a prompt to the user. So let's say input your age like that, and then we will say if the age is equal to 16, then we will print this to the screen. Hey, you're 16 like that. Okay, so alright, so let's go ahead and just test it our right way. I know I haven't really explained it, but I just want to show you how this works. Okay, so we have inputs, your age, so I will say 2 as my age, and we can see that nothing happens. Okay, so now I'll show you one more. I hope you have caught this trick already from what I talked about in the last videos, but we'll see now. You notice here I'm going to put in 16 and nothing is going to happen. Now the reason for that is because 16 here is different than the 16 that we get from age. If you remember, whenever we're getting number or anything from the console, we actually get it as a string. So this 16 that we're getting actually looks like this. Now in Python again, we have different data types, right? So this is an integer data type, where, well, this is a string. So when we're comparing integers and strings, they are different. So we have to convert our age variable into an integer before we can compare it like that. Okay, so now we'll try again. So if integer of age equals 16, so now we put 16 in and says, hey, you're 16 like that. Okay, perfect. So that's pretty straightforward. Now we can also do some other conditions. So let's do a greater than 16 now. Okay, so this is another conditional operator that we talked about before. And yeah, I will go ahead, we'll try it now. So we will say 15 now, nothing happening because obviously 15 is not greater than 16. Now if we put in 17, it works. Okay, great. Alright, and also I just wanna show you there's another operator that we didn't talk about last time, a conditional operator, and it's greater than or equal to, and the less than or equal to. So to convert your greater than sign into greater than or equal to sign, all you have to do is add an equal sign like this, and now anything greater than or equal to 16 will work, whereas before it had to be strictly greater than 16. And same thing with the less than sign like that. Okay, I just forgot to talk about this in the other video, so I figured I would put it in here. Alright, great, so let's go into another example then. So let's say it's great, it's telling us we're 16, or let's, in this case, we're going to be older than this, than 16, right? So, hey, you're older than 16, but what if we want a message when we are younger than 16? Well, the way to do this is using something called an else statement. So the syntax for this, it simply has to come after an if statement. You can just leave your own else statement like this. That will not work. It has to be placed after an if statement, and then all you have to do is put a colon and click enter and make sure the indentation is the same as the indentation for the first if statement. Okay, so now we're just going to print you are younger than 16. Okay, and we can go ahead, we can try this to see if the else is going to work. And we say, for example, 15, and here you are younger than 16. Great. Okay, so just to explain this a little more, how this really works when we're reading through the code. Well, Python reads code line by line, like this. Now, when it reached this if statement, it checks this condition to see if it is true or false. So, since this condition was false in the last example, we say if false, it says, okay, so we're going to return this line of code. We're going to skip to the else statement, and we're going to do this. Okay, so if we had typed anything and that does not return true, so makes this condition not return true, then it would go to this else statement like this. Okay, yeah, and then same thing, say we type in a number 17, that is greater than 16. It's not going to do the else statement, it's just going to do the if statement. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So for the rest of this video, we're gonna be talking about how to create extra branches in your if statements using elif. So right now I have read this code where we're checking if your age is over 20 years old to use an app. We can actually make another condition by pressing enter. So we're no longer indented and they say elif, and then we put another condition here. So let's say, you know, if you're like a senior citizen, you get like a discount on our app, right? So I don't know, I think it's 65 when you're considered old, not sure, and then we'll say print and we'll say, hey, you get a special discount. Now the thing is, only one of this will be ever hit. So it's not the case that if someone is 75, that this is going to happen because it's true, and then this is going to happen because it's also true. Because there's this elif part, which is the short form of else if. So it's one or the other, and since the first one is going to be hit first, then that is always going to be hit. So let me show you what I mean. We run this, what your age. If we put in, like for example, A5, it says welcome to our app. So this past is true. It said welcome to our app. So the elif is short for else if, so only one will ever be executed. So what you can do is you can switch the positions of this. So we could take this one, cut it and move it to the top. I'll show you what I mean in a second. Just follow along here, paste that there, and then switch the elif to down here. All right, so now when we were on this, we put in 85 and it says you get a special discount. We're on it again and we say 30. It just says welcome to our app. So the order does matter. Now there's another option, and that is a catch-all else statement. Now I call it a catch-all because if we go through all of the if or elifs and none of them are true, the else will be hit, and it is optional, like I just showed you. The app worked fine, but if you want to say like, oh, you're not old enough, this is where you do it. So running this, we can try to put in a really low age such as 8. Run this and it says you're not old enough. Although this is always hit, so after the if statement, all of this together, you can just consider it as one giant block. Right now, we're using the greater than comparison operator. There are other ones, so let's say there's a free trial for those who have 20 years old exactly. So we can do this by adding an if statement right here at the top and turn this one to elif. Remember, the order is very important. So we will use the equivalent operator. You remember it from the last video. It is with two equal signs and not just one. And if it is true, if this condition is true, it will simply print congratulations, you have a free trial. Right, so let's try this out. Let's type in 20. Alright, that gave us congratulations, you have a free trial. Okay, so that's it for the if, elif, and else statements. In the next tutorial, we're going to go into something called chained conditionals and do some more advanced examples of this. We're gonna do some addition, subtraction, and some more things with other operators. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notifications bell, and see you in the next video. Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. So this is the 5th video in our Python programming tutorial series. So in today's video, we're gonna be talking about chained conditionals and nested if statements. So pretty much the chained conditionals are just adding multiple conditions in one line using the words and or. And we have the keyword note that we're gonna be talking about as well. So if you haven't seen the last videos in the series, go ahead and watch them now because they're prerequisites for this video. So let's get right ahead and start. So if you remember before, we have something called conditions. So for example, if we have the variable x, I will set that to 2, and the variable y, which is equal to 3, we can have a condition like x equal y. Now, obviously, we know from the last video that this is going to give us a value of false, and it will run the same as that would be here. Let's say to print true. Pretty straightforward. I hope you all understood that from the last video. Right, so what we want to do in this now is we're going to want to check multiple conditions. So we put a condition here. So if x is equal y, and then we can put word and like this, the and word. Now we will add another condition. So if x plus y is equal to 5. Okay, so this first condition is going to give us a value of false because they are not the same. But now x plus y does indeed equal 5, so that is going to give us a value of true. So where I'm highlighting, we have true, and then where I'm highlighting now, again we have false. So because we have the keyword and, this if statement is not going to run. And when I run the program, nothing happens. That is because when we use the AND keyword, it means both conditions on either side must be true. So if we change this to something like if y is equal to 3, now that is going to be true and we'll print out true. Okay, so that's pretty basic. Now let's do the OR keyword. So we'll put OR right here, and we will change this condition back to x, y is equal to x, like at the beginning. And now we're going to run this line now. Since x plus y does equal 5, we have a true here. And again, y is not equal to x, so we have false here. And you will see that the program is going to run. Yeah, that's because only one of the conditions has to be true for it to run. Okay, so that's the AND and the OR keyword. They're pretty straightforward and pretty basic. Now I would like to point out that you can actually add as many conditions as you like. So now I can have an OR, I can have an AND, I could have another condition here. I could do as many as I would like to do. So now we'll put an else statements in here, and we'll change this just a little bit to use another keyword. We'll put print false here to show that we didn't run it, that we ran the else. Okay, so now there's something called the not word. Okay, we're going to put not right here around it, and then I'll show you what it does. So pretty much not reverse anything that is inside the brackets here. So in here we have if y is equal to x, or x plus y is equal to 5. So we know again that this gives us a value of true. So now since true is inside of the not, true becomes false. Now we have if false, so obviously that's going to bring us to the else here statement, which is going to print false. So I'll show you that does indeed work. Right, so we have false printed out. So now if we change this so that both of them are false, you will see that we have false, false, which is going to give us an overall value of false. And then we're going to have the not, which is going to change that into true, and will allow us to run it just like that. True. So yeah, so that's how the not, the and the or work. And now let's get into nested if statements. So we'll do a basic if statement here if x is equal to 2, if y is equal to 3, and then we will add out else's like this, and we put some print statement in here. Okay, just give me a second while typing this, right? And then we will go into what this is going to do. X equals 2 and y equals 3. So you may have guessed it already, but pretty much we can actually add as many if statements embedded or nested as we would like. So I could add another if statement here and just constantly keep checking. Now the reason I showed you chained conditionals is because if I didn't want to go through the hassle of adding all of this nested statements, I could just do and right here and check for another condition. But sometimes we don't want to do nested statements, so we will say here x equals 2, y does not equal 3. Okay, so I know I just said that pretty quickly, but let's walk through it now. So we have if x is equal to 2, then we're going to run whatever is in here because it is indented. So now we come in here and we say, well, is y equal to 3? Let's say it is. Now we're going to print out the statements and we're going to be done with this bit of code. So we're going to skip down to the end of the program where we have nothing else. Then so let's say we do another example, x is equal to 2 for example, but y equals 4. So that means we're actually going to run the else, which means now we've got print x is equal to 2, but y does not equal 3. And then the last case is x is not equal to 2, so we don't even bother checking if y is equal to 3. We just go down and we print x does not equal 2. So we'll change around the variables and we'll show you how this works just very quickly. So we can see here x is equal to 2 and y is equal to 3. So we can see x is equal to 2 and y is equal to 3. That's because obviously up here 2 and 3. Now if I want to change y and we change it to 4, we get x is equal to 2 but y is not equal to 3. So that means we run this one in here. Now let's change it so that x is equal to 4 as well, and we can see we get x does not equal to 2. Alright, that was the basics of chained conditionals and nested if statements. Stay tuned for more videos. We're gonna be getting into some more complex ideas. In the next video, we're going to be talking about for loops. So please don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notifications bell. So see you in the next video. Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. So in today's video we're gonna be talking about the text editor Visual Studio Code. So let's get started. So in today's video we're gonna be covering first of all what is Visual Studio Code, and then Visual Studio Code installation, then Python extension VS Code, and then first Python program in VS Code. And then we're going to cover also line 10 debugging support, and also Jupyter Notebook support, and finally Python Interactive and environments. Visual Studio Code is a free source code editor made by Microsoft for Windows, Linux, and Mac OS. Features include support for debugging, syntax highlighting, intelligent code completion, snippets, code refactoring, and embedded Git. Visual Studio Code can be used with a variety of programming languages, including Java, JavaScript, Go, Node.js, and C++. It is based on the Electron framework. Alright guys, so here's the official website of Visual Studio Code. I will leave a link to it in the description down below. Here's the link. So all what you have to do is click on download, and this will redirect you to this page, and you can download the Visual Studio Code to whatever OS you're using. For me it's Windows, but I'm not gonna do it because I have already Visual Studio Code inside my machine. Right, so Visual Studio Code looks something like this. So to start using Python in our VS Code, we have to install the Python extension. So for that, all you have to do is go to this extensions icon here and search for Python. Right, so the Python extension is the first one, which is named Python, and it is done by Microsoft. Click on it, and you will see here install. I've already installed, so I have uninstalled here, so I'm not gonna reinstall it. Right, so and you will look here for the Python extension features that is presented. Right, so here's the feature details. So we have first of all untill sense, and this allows you to edit your code with auto completion, code navigation, and simple syntax checking and more. And we have also line 10 that we will talk about later on in this video. We have code formatting in whatever format we like black, auto, pip, or yap. We have debugging. This is allowing you to debug and run your Python scripts, web apps, remote, or multi-threaded processes. And we have testing. This is allowing you to run and debug tests through the Tests Explorer with either unit tests, PyTest, or nose. And we have also Jupyter notebooks that we will talk also later on in this video of our environments. So it's automatically activate, your virtual environments. And we have refactoring. This is allowing to restructuring the Python code you've run with variable extraction, method extraction, and also sorting imports. Alright guys, so I'm in my VS Code here. So first of all, we're going to open our CMD. You can just type here CMD simply, and you'll be good to go. But now I already opened it, and I made a directory called tutorial. Now let's enter this directory now, and let's make another directory inside of tutorial directory and name it for example hello. So to make a directory you simply have to go to write make there and then the directory name, and we're going to make another directory, name it for example hello 1. Alright, so let's so let's go to our VS Code. Let's click on open folder and so select it. Okay, so as you can see here we have two directories. First one is hello and then hello 1. So both of them are empty for now. So let's go to hello and create a new file here in it, and let's name it hello.py. Right? The .py is the extension for Python, as we said in the very first video in our channel. So let's write our code here. For example, a simple code. Let's write hello world. Save the file. You can go to file and then save, or just Ctrl plus S. And then to run our file you have just to go here to this triangle here and click on it, and your terminal will be opened directly, and here you are, hello world. That was a basic Python code, just to show you how to run your Python files and how to create Python files. So now let's get into linting. So it basically highlights the syntactic and styling problems in the Python source code. To enable linters, we can use the following approach, although the Python extension comes enabled with the PyLint linter as a default. Press Ctrl plus Shift plus P and select the Python select linter in the palette. So now guys, we have our Python file here, hello.py. So to change the default linter, which is PyLint, all you have to do is click on Ctrl Shift P. This will open the panel here, and then write down Python colon select linter, and here you will see all the options here. You have bandits, flake A, mypy, prospector, pycode style, pydoc style, pylama, pylint. So the default one is pylint. You can change it to whatever you want. Alright guys, so now let's get into debugging. So VS Code allows you to debug your code. To debug your code, you have to click F5 and then select the debug configuration. Choose the first one, Python file, and then it will pop up here the debug section. Here's the debug tool here, and this will run properly. Now let's try to use this button here, and let's debug it another time. Let's select F5, select Python file, and as you can see it's stopped here. Yeah, as you can see it's paused the debugging. This is a great tool when dealing with large scale projects to handle errors in your code. Alright guys, so now let's get into Jupyter Notebook support. So to create a new Jupyter Notebook, you have just to click on Ctrl+Shift+P and then search for create new blank Jupyter Notebook. Click on it and it will pop up here something here. Right, you have to download Jupyter kernels before starting dealing with Jupyter Notebooks. So in Jupyter Notebooks you can run your code cell by cell, like for example if you want right here hello world, same example as before, click on run cell and here's the output. Let's try another thing, a more advanced code that we will learn and we will discover in the next video. Yeah, so stay tuned for it. 10, right, 10, and here's the two steps, and print 5. Yeah, and let's run it also, and here's the output for it. Right, so and now you can delete whatever you want. Let's delete this one or something like this. And now even you can there's another advantage in VS Code that you can do this also in your PY files. Like let's do this one here and do the same thing another time for I in range 20 print A. Right, so now if you want just to run the second one, you have just to do hashtag and percentile and click on run cell. It will pop here the Python interactive window. And here's the output for it. And here you can even type any code you want, like print Python interactive. Yeah. So, and you can run whatever code you have. Just when type in your code here, like let's write a for loop here another time for I in range 5. You can type whatever you want, and at the end just type shift plus enter to run your code, and there's the output another time. Alright, and there is another feature in VS Code in the Python interactive, which is the variables explorer. And this is a great thing because when declaring variable, let's declare variable x here 5, and let's run this, and here's x pop up here. It is an integer, no size, and value of 5. Now let's try with a string, like name is equal to and oh sorry, shift plus enter, and there's nothing here. Name is a string, size of 4, and its value is Taha. Alright guys, so now let's get into environments. So the Python extension takes the first interpreter and make it the default one. So simply to change your interpreter, you have just to click on Ctrl+Shift+P another time, and then go to Python, select interpreter, and then choose whatever you want.